guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are a regular here, if you are new here, welcome, karibu. My name is Ivam Tali, and this is Travel with Ivam Tali. On this channel we talk about mostly working abroad, living abroad, and studying abroad. So if those topics sound exciting to you, you want to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and also make sure to hit the notification bell, which is on the right hand side of the subscription button, so that every single time I shoot a new video you do not miss out. And as usual guys, as you come online, please say hello, let me know where you are watching me from, and also make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Hi Roslyn, I have seen you, and I have seen you Mushila. So I want to make this video very quickly because it's getting very dark here, and yeah, I want to take advantage of the lighting. So if you have questions, today we are talking about claiming refugee status, and specifically I will be looking at Canada because this is something that a lot of people have asked me about, mostly from TikTok. So hey guys, I recently decided to become active on TikTok. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to me on TikTok, my handle is at Ivam Tali. You want to go there. That's where all the fun stuff is happening. On TikTok, there's a lot of jokes. It's not as serious as here on the YouTube channel. So you go and see, go and help me guys. I'm being roasted there on TikTok. I posted some videos and people are killing me. So if you haven't yet subscribed to me on TikTok, you haven't started following me, you want to follow me because there's a lot of action there. And so the reason why I decided to share today's video is because of a story that somebody shared with me. So it's very unfortunate, especially here in Africa, most of the time when somebody is in an abusive relationship, especially women. I don't know what about your country, but in Kenya, most of the time, if somebody is in an abusive relationship, they're having violence, they are told, you know what, just pray for your husband and fast for him. It's gonna get better. If it's a woman, it's the same story. The husband is told to pray and fast for them. And that's what somebody was telling me. So Eva, they asked me, what can I do? Is there opportunity for me? Because I don't feel safe anymore in my country. So again, this is not legal advice. This is information that I'm sharing with you. Of course, go and do your own, what do we call it? Go and do your own research as well. This is not legal advice, but I'm just giving you opportunities to go and do your own research. So when it comes to Canada, there are different ways you can seek asylum, or asylum as people call it. You can go in as what they call, what is that word they use? I'm looking for the word. There's a word they use here. There are two ways: conventional refugee, and they have the asylum seeker. The one I'm going to be looking at is the asylum seeker. So this is somebody who's a little different from the conventional refugee. For example, if I was in Somalia, or I was in Ukraine, or I was in South Sudan, or I was in Afghanistan, and the war broke down, and the UNHCR, for example, took up refugees and referred me to Canada under UNHCR. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a person in need. So we have like the conventional refugee, like the one I've talked about. For example, you can be, I don't know, a victim of the war in Ukraine, or a victim of the war in, let's say if there was something happening in Afghanistan and the like. The one I'm talking about is specifically a person in need. So let's say you are suffering like domestic violence. I already mentioned that. You can fall under this category that I'm going to look at. So essentially what happens is that if you face any form of persecution, for example, in terms of death threats, or you're being tortured, or you face imprisonment by your government, or guerrillas, or any other non-government agency, like an abusive spouse, for example, you can actually claim refugee status in Canada. And as long as you can prove that you have no internal flight alternative, that means you have no place in your country that you could get to and live safely, free from the persecution that you are facing. So let's say, for example, if it's an abusive spouse or an abusive common law partner, within your own country, there's no place where you can seek safety, then you can actually claim asylum or make a refugee claim in Canada. So when it comes to making refugee claims in Canada, let me just share with you something here. So I'm currently on the Canada.ca website here, which is basically the Canadian government website. And you can see right here, it says, making a refugee claim in Canada. Individuals can make a refugee claim in Canada at a port of entry upon arrival or online if already in Canada. And what happens is that the Canada Border Services Agency, that is CBSA, or the IRCC officials will determine if you are eligible to refer to the Immigration and Refugee Board for a hearing. And factors determining your eligibility to make a refugee claim include whether the claimant has committed a serious crime, made a previous claim in Canada, or received protection in another country. So as you can see right there, you can actually make your claim at the port of entry. And port of entry here could be the airport, it could be a land border, it could be a port border. You can actually make your claim there. So what are the 5 main grounds for which you can actually make a claim? So number 1, I've already talked about violence. If you are facing family violence, that could be either physical, it could be sexual abuse, it could be psychological abuse, it could be financial abuse, or neglect from your spouse or common law partner, then you can actually claim asylum. And then number 2, if you have membership in a particular social group, including those that you cannot change, for example, your gender, your sexual orientation. So for example, let's say you're gay or you're bisexual or you're a lesbian, and your country has very stringent rules around that, and you as maybe a gay person or a lesbian is unsafe in your country, then you can actually claim asylum in Canada or any other country for that matter. You can also claim based on your past membership and any of the groups that you choose to join. So for example, you can choose to join a particular group that people around you feel that is not fit for society, then that is another ground for which you can claim asylum. And then we have a situation where, like for example, a political opinion. So if let's say you support candidate A or you support candidate B, and because of your political opinion, you get persecuted or tortured, or you feel under threat, and you have no internal internal flight alternative, then you can also seek asylum. Another category that I have heard of is, and it's very common, especially here in Kenya, in some communities. I will not mention names, but you probably know them if you are in Kenya. We have had cases in the past whereby, let's say if for example, like in my case, when my mom died, somebody, for example, can come up with a story that, hey, you know what, Eva and her family are witches and we are gonna burn them down. And the sole purpose they would accuse me of, or my family, of being witches is so that we get burned and we die and they get our land. So I have heard of such cases where people are actually burned and they are accused of being witches. And the whole purpose behind it is because the people wanted to claim their land. So for example, something like that, people could actually accuse you of witchcraft, or they could accuse you of, I don't know, something, and they have ulterior motives for why they accuse you falsely. So that's another ground you can seek a protection as a refugee. And then we also have cases whereby, let's say, somebody is part of a particular group, and maybe your government or maybe a section of society feels that that group is a threat to them, then they could persecute that group of people. So we have had cases, for example, whereby just by having dreadlocks, you just have anything like this that I have on my head, already you're classified to belong to a certain group, and you could actually be a victim of police violence. We have seen it, especially here in Kenya. I have seen people who got shot just because they had dreadlocks, and somebody assumed they were some criminal group or something. So anything that makes you persecuted, if you're having death threats or tortures or imprisonment by government or guerrillas, or I've mentioned other non-governmental agents, such as an abusive spouse, you can consider. And then if you are outside of Canada, you can make an application under the Convention, a Refugee Abroad class, and IRCC in this case will rely on UNHCR or other referral organizations, private sponsored groups, and the like to identify and refer you for resettlement in this class. So what does it take to make a refugee claim in Canada? Let's quickly take a look at something here on my computer. And as usual, guys, you know I like, oh, I hope I didn't delete it. Oh yes. So I'm just going to show you my screen, and then you can see something that I've tried to do here. So here, I'm still on the IRCC website. You can see here canada.ca. Claim refugee status from inside or from inside Canada. So remember we said you can make your claim in Canada at a port of entry upon arrival, or online if you are already in Canada. So let's say, for example, so this is the page before you make a refugee claim. So you're supposed to answer a few questions. So let's say, are you in Canada right now? So let's say I have just landed at the airport and I want to make my claim. So I will say yes. Have you checked if you're eligible to make a refugee claim? Then I will say the option is no or yes. So let me just say yes. And then when you scroll a little down, you can see it says you must be in Canada to make your refugee claim. You can make your claim in one or two ways: in person when you arrive in Canada at a port of entry, which I've said could be like the airport, at the land border, or at the port, wherever you are, or you can do it online when you're already inside Canada. So the information you share in your claim will help the Canada Border Services Agency, CBSA, to understand your background, your family, and why you want to make a refugee claim. So to find out how to make your refugee claim, you need to answer some questions. So for example, how will you make your claim? You can see you can make it in person when you arrive in Canada at a port of entry, or online, you're already inside Canada, or I already started a claim. And then right here, you can make a claim for refugee protection at any port of entry when you arrive in Canada. This means seaport, airport, seaport, or land border. Yeah, guys, I hope you see that. And then a border services officer will ask you to complete the required application forms when you arrive. And normally you'll complete the forms at the port of entry. While at the port of entry, the officer will also ask you questions about your situation, collect your documentation and proof of identity, and take your fingerprints and photo biometrics, okay? So if the officer decides your refugee claim is eligible, they will give you a refugee protection claimant document, which will help you get the access to the interim federal health program and other services in Canada. And then you'll also get a confirmation of referral letter, which confirms your claim has been referred to the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada. And then you'll get a basis claim form. And lastly, you will get instructions about completing your medical exam. And then you have 15 calendar days to complete the basis of claim form and to submit it to IRB's Refugee Protection Division office listed on your confirmation of referral letter. So you could be asked to come back for an interview and they will give you the necessary information. And you may also be asked to submit your refugee claim online. Again, there will be requirements of what you need to do. So the advantage when you seek your refugee, you submit your refugee claim at the port of entry, you get a work or study permit while you wait for a decision on your refugee claim, yeah? So to avoid delays receiving your permit, make sure that IRCC always has your current address, which you can always change online. So if you make a claim at a port of entry, you can request to apply for a work permit while you're with the border services officer. So guys, make sure you do this at the same time. When you are claiming refugee status, make sure you also apply for your work permit, because this is going to help you to survive as you wait for a determination of your case. You won't get your work permit while at the port of entry. If you're eligible for one, you'll receive it after you complete your medical exam. So just make sure to apply for it. And once you have your medical exam completed, then they'll give you your work permit. If you submit your refugee claim online, you can request a work permit in your online application, but they'll only issue a work permit if they decide your claim is eligible to be referred to the IRB and you complete your medical examination. So guys, that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. As usual, I will leave a link in the description box at the end of this live, and you can read it up a little bit. So guys, don't suffer if you are in an abusive relationship, or if you have a different orientation, for example, a sexual orientation. Don't kill yourself, yeah, guys? If you love differently, or you love a different kind of person, and your country is not accepting it, don't kill yourself. There's already too much going on in life. You're not going to spend your time trying to please people and make them happy. If, let's say, you are part of a political group that is being persecuted, then that is something you can consider. Just make sure that you can prove that you have no internal flight alternative, which basically means you have no place in your country that you could get to and live safely and free from the persecution that you are facing. So I hope I have answered that question for those who are asking me the options to claim refugee status in Canada. And we have learned you can actually claim your status at the port of entry, which could be at the airport, at the border point, at the seaport, airport, or what was the third one? Forget what the third one. Yeah, airport, seaport, or land border. And also remember to apply for your work permit when you are submitting your claim. Even though you will not get it immediately, as soon as you complete your medical exam, then you get your work permit. So even as you wait for your case to be determined, then you can actually continue working legally. So the advantage with this method is that if you are in a situation of seeking refugee status and you are found eligible to apply for refugee status, then you may be also eligible to apply for permanent residence, and eventually you can apply for citizenship after you meet the requirements. So I will quickly read your questions and then I will wrap it up. Hi Sammy from Nigeria. Hi Kelvin. Hi Johnson. Hi Benjamin from South Africa. I see you. Akude. Hi John from Kenya. Kevin is asking, assist me to migrate to Canada. It's my dream country. Oh my dear Kelvin. We have more than 400 videos on this channel alone. And right now I've just spoken of another way you can actually immigrate. Hi Eustacia from Sierra Leone. Hi Justine. Great to have you here. Yusuf, hello. Hi Nook and Yifa. I am doing better, though my sore is still here. You can see my cold sore. It's been a victim of torture there on TikTok. Those guys are really roasting me. Hi Roslyn, how are you? This is really sad, I know. Ombaso, hi Eva, I'm from Kenya. Please assist me migrate to Canada because my dream is to work and live. I just did. Hi Nook and Yefa, how is Italy? A question, please. What's the best pathway to relocate to Canada for a family where a husband is just a secondary school holder and a wife is a middle school holder? I think I have a video on the channel on how you can immigrate to Canada without a degree. Please watch that video. There are so many options, so many. Please check. Maskini wa USA. Hi sister. Hi, how are you? How does express entry to Canada work? We have 3 videos on express entry, but basically express entry is a point-based system whereby you submit your application. You're gonna need to do your French or English exam or both. You're gonna have to do your English exam, and you're gonna have to have your papers, your educational credentials assessed if you graduated outside Canada, and then you submit your profile online. It's free to submit your profile, and then based on various human factors such as your education level, your age, the younger you are, the more points you get. The more educated you are, the more points you get. If you speak French, you get more points. If you got a high score on your IELTS exam for English or your CELPIP for French, you get more points. If you're married, I think you get more points, and all that. So they calculate your score, and the maximum any one person can get is 1,200 points. If you get nominated by a province, you get an additional 600 points. So let's say without nomination, you had 300 points, and then you get nominated by a province, you're gonna add 600 points to your profile, that is your CRS score, and you're gonna have 900 points. So basically, every 2 weeks, IRCC Canada does a draw, and they determine a minimum point. Currently, it is around, I think, 496. So that means anybody who has a CRS score of 496 and above, you are invited to apply for Canadian permanent residence. Basically, what this means, if you said, for example, you have a degree in aeronautical engineering, you are great in French, you are great in English, you are 20 years old, you do not have any kids, you have 14,000 Canadian dollars in your bank account, then it is time when you present this evidence. That's what they mean, that you submit and accept your invitation to apply. If Canada confirms that indeed what you mentioned in your express entry is correct, it's true, it's verifiable, then in a maximum of 6 months, you get your permanent residence to Canada. And in 3 years, if you meet the conditions and the qualifications, you get your citizenship as a Canadian. I hope I summarized it, but you can watch the videos. They cover a lot more. Nook, I think I've responded to your question. Rosalind, I was watching a documentary on Hurricane Fiona. How are you guys holding up? It's well, and I am back to Nairobi, Rosalind. So I arrived this morning from Canada. In Buffalo, there was a huge snowstorm the last 2 days. So yeah, it was huge. I was actually planning to go to Niagara on the weekend. I couldn't. I ended up going to Barrie, and yes, it's not nice. Any Tech 2022 conferences in Canada, Johnny, I will have to check. I am not, but the year is over, Johnny. I don't think there's anybody having conferences in December. Kelvin, sorry, thank you. Nook, I hope I answered your question. Do you know of a joining agency in Kenya which is recruiting for Canada? Kelvin, you must be a visitor in Jerusalem. You know my answer. Anybody who knows my answer to that question, please answer Kelvin. David Cato, hello, my friend. I'm traveling in Canada, but now which process? Now travel in which process now? Oh, I need it. Oh, I don't understand your question, David. But if you're asking how to go to Canada, we have more than 400 videos on the channel. I am sure you will find at least one that works for you. Maskini, oh, I actually arrived from Canada this morning. I'm in Nairobi. If you know this flower, you must know this flower by now. Rachel, hi Rachel, how are you? Okay, looks like we don't have any more questions. So guys, if you haven't yet followed me on TikTok, the name is at Eva Mtali. Please do so. Yes, Roslyn, I do not recommend agencies. Hi Rachel, finally you found me on a live, eh? It's great to have you here. Yeah, sometimes I'm just too lazy to edit videos. I prefer coming online here and just doing the live and getting over and done with it and talking with you guys. Um, Emmanuel, can you help me format my CV for Canadian to get job? Any oldies, please respond to Emmanuel. What's the answer to Emmanuel's question? I'm sure the oldies in the group will answer Emmanuel. So Emmanuel, I do not open any attachments on my emails because that's how we usually get hacked. People send you stuff. When you open them, you realize your YouTube channel is hacked. But we have 2 videos on the channel that talk about Canadian CVs. Please watch them. Can I immigrate to Canada with EU passport? It depends. How do you want to immigrate? Do you want to do a temporary visit or what? You need an electronic something. There's an electronic something you apply for online if you are talking about temporary residence. And Onunga, welcome back. Thank you. Rachel, please. Rachel, what was your question? Let me see. What did you ask, Rachel? I don't see your question here. You told me to answer you. I don't see your question. What is the question, Rachel? I don't see it. David Kato, my email address, it's in the description box at the bottom of all my videos. ivamtali@gmail.com is the email. I do not have WhatsApp. Don't let anybody con you. And also I do not have, what do you call it? Telegram. Onunga, seems Canada was too, yes, you can see I even have like a cold sore and like my whole neck region, and I don't know, they call them, like what you get for a sunburn. I have that for the cold. I don't know what you call it. Faith, how can I get Canada when I'm unskilled? We have, Faith, we have, I think 2 videos that talk about that. Please watch them. How to get to Canada if you do not have a degree. We have that. How can somebody link up with you in Nairobi? I will do a meet and greet when we are at a 100,000. When we get to 100,000 subscribers, we will do a meet and greet and you can come and meet me personally. Rachel Wanyonyi, I'm a teacher in Kenya and I was asking, what were you asking? If you're asking about jobs as immigrating as a teacher, 2 videos on the channel. One is about immigrating to Chicago. Chicago Public Schools are currently recruiting high school teachers. If you have at least 2 years of work experience and you have, I think it's a master's degree, I'm not sure. Please check. There are 2 videos on the channel about Chicago Public Schools and the US as a whole. You're gonna need to go as a J1, on a J1 visa. I have covered everything that is required on that video. Please watch. Kelvin, please connect us with a job. Have been sending a lot to companies in job bank but no success. Kelvin, we have a video on the channel that talks about the reality of applying for jobs outside Canada. Please watch that video. I cover a lot of stuff on that topic. Rachel Wanyonyi, between Canada and Australia, which is best to immigrate with my family? Rachel, it depends on various factors, but one advantage of immigrating to Canada, for example, is Canada is very cosmopolitan. Pretty much everyone is there. And Canada is aggressively promoting people to come and live and work in Canada. And then it also depends on your qualification. It depends on, if you have a spouse, for example, their qualification, it depends on what permit are you coming, like it depends on so many factors. Then if you are okay with cold, Canada is very cold. Right now, today is when? We are not even in December. Like we are hardly in winter. Official winter has not started. And the current temperature is, let me see. In Toronto right now, I don't know if you're able to see, it's -2. Let me show you. Can you see? It's -2 in North York. I don't know if you're able to see. Can you see? It's -2 degrees centigrade. Yeah? -2 in North York, 23rd November. So that's another factor you have to consider. It's very, very, very cold, but it has its pluses as well. And then if let's say you're in software development, if you are in the health sector, then you automatically get very high paying jobs in Canada. In terms of getting a resident permit, if you're going through express entry in as little as 6 months, you can get your permanent residence. In 3 years, you can get your citizenship. So it really depends on you and all other factors. Australia, I have been to Australia only once. Generally, I didn't find it as cosmopolitan as Canada was. If I had to choose as a Black person between Australia and Canada, I would go to Canada for the cosmopolitan nature. I would go to Australia for the weather. Yeah. Rachel, I have seen it's cold. That's why I was asking with the kids, how will it? I mean, kids adapt. Oh my goodness, you should see. Kids adapt so quickly. For them, you'd find them in t-shirts at single digit temperatures. You'd find them walking bare chested. Kids are they adapt very quickly. The challenge usually is the adults. Kids adapt very, very quickly. You'd be surprised. What do you think could be the reason for prolonged visas in Canada? The reason is COVID, my dear. I hope you're aware since COVID happened, there has been delay, and not just for Canadian embassy. For the US embassy in Kenya, for example, as late as August of this year, before the new ambassador comes, the earliest you could get, if you wanted to book a visa appointment, you had to wait for 2 years. So you can imagine it would take up to 2 years for you to get a visa appointment. So it's not just Canada. Same thing applies to the UK. It's not easy right now because there's a huge backlog. There was almost 2 years of nobody working. So there's that as well. David, my contact is ivamtali@gmail.com. Check any of my videos at the bottom of the description box. You will find it. Rachel, what? I don't know what you're asking. What? Rachel, you are doing a good job. Hi, Judith. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you. Do you have to show proof of funds if you have a valid job offer on express entry? Generally, when you have a valid job offer, you do not have to show proof of funds. Proof of funds basically is to confirm to the government that the first few days when you arrive Canada, you at least are able to have a roof over your head. You're able to eat, because in Canada you get paid bi-weekly. Every 2 weeks you get paid. So those first 2 weeks before you're paid, how are you going to survive? Or maybe before you get your job, how are you going to survive? So that's the main reason why you need the proof of funds. And we have another channel. It's called Ivam Tali Finance, where we talk about how you can get foreign currency, get paid mostly online jobs that you can do, so you get paid and you get foreign currency very easily. I think I have answered all your questions. There is 37 of you online, only 16 likes, guys. Let me know where you're watching me from, and please give the video a like, thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. It's okay. Here we value feedback. Both positive, negative feedback is feedback. So if you don't have any questions, I think I'm gonna end it here. Feel free to continue the conversations in the description box below. And remember, we said, guys, do not suffer in an abusive relationship. Forget about praying and fasting for an abusive partner. Yeah? People change because they want to, not because you're praying for them. You're gonna be dead by the time you say amen. Right, guys? I've given you options. If for whatever reason you do not have any internal flight alternative, you can try and find refugee status. Yeah. So guys, I will end it here, and thank you for joining me. 38 of you online, only 22 likes. Really, guys? I will end it here. Please remember to give the video a like, share it, and if you haven't followed me on TikTok, you are missing out big time. There's so much fun on TikTok. I'm not as serious as I am here. You know, here I'm really, really serious and uptight. Uko TikTok is so much fun and laughter, and yeah. So guys, thank you. Have a great evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you are. I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.